host, Shelley Roberts. Myself, along with this series of fabulous speakers, are sharing what it means to be living powerfully from our own inner authority, which gives you wings to fly. I invite you to listen in on each of these conversations to get the most out of this event. It can be a game changer. One aha could literally change your life. In this free virtual series, you're learning how to connect to your inner authority and recognize and clear your inner glass ceilings so you can show up in your life in a bigger, more confident, and more empowered way. When you take it all in, you will walk away with the insights and action steps to powerfully create your own success and level up your life. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Baeth Davis, known as Dr. Purpose. Beth is the secret sage to global leaders, including spiritual teachers, healers, artists, engineers, design creatives, celebrities, scientists, and entrepreneurs. She helps you discover and unleash your life purpose and then design a business around your core genetic biological purpose so you can profit and serve. She is a supporter of the Unstoppable Foundation, Just Like My Child, and the Pachamama Alliance, and is committed to bringing the life purpose mastery to creative entrepreneurs globally. As featured in Women's World, Cosmopolitan, and the LA Times, as well as heard on NPR, KPFK Los Angeles, Radio Europe, and the BBC 5, Beth is devoted to helping you unleash your life purpose and uncover the #1 thing that has been holding you back from achieving it. Beth, it is amazing and wonderful to have you on the summit today. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it's definitely in your wheelhouse with respect to what you do in the world. One of the things there's a debate on is, can you even know your soul's purpose? I know you know the answer to that is yes, but what would you say to people that have doubt?
Well, the universe runs in a fairly mechanical fashion, which is upsetting when a lot of people realize that, because we like to think we have a lot more free will than we actually do. And then the free will that we do have, people typically don't use it or they misuse it. But most systems, whether it's hand analysis, which is palm reading, that's scientifically verified, called hand analysis, or human design, which has also been proven by science and is accurate, reads out your DNA. And contained within that, if we just talk about human design today, contained within that is something called your Incarnation Cross. And even when I've done human design readings, people don't even realize how important this is, because it is why you incarnated. That is, came incarnate into a physical body, right? If we break down the Latin of the word incarnate, it means in carnal form, in a body. And knowing that Incarnation Cross is particularly important to our career and business, because contained within that information is your branding, your life's work, your life lesson, as well as what keeps you physically healthy and your core genius.
Wow, that's a lot packed into one small thing.
It is. It's a lot packed in. And it comes from the position of the sun and the earth when you're born, and the sun and the earth 88 days before you're born, because that 88-day point is when the soul crystal comes in right here into your body. And the sun and earth energies make up about 70% of our DNA influence. Would make sense, as we walk around on the earth, and without the sun, there is no life. We're so reliant on, we need the sun. So those two energies are influencing us all the time. And as it turns out, astrology is real. And really up until the 1500s, this wasn't debated. People studied astrology and astronomy. As one of my friends describes it, her name's Tanya Gabriel, she describes it this way, that astrology is the inner science and astronomy is the outer science. Numerology is the inner science. Mathematics is the outer science. So if you look at any of these systems, there's an internal way that this data can be used for self-realization. And then there's an outer way it's used to actually build things in the world. Everything's a binary, right? We have inner and outer and up and down and left and right and so on and so forth. Even though the cross is a binary. There's up and down and there's side to side. So as we encounter this information, as an individual encounters this information and begins to practice it in their day-to-day life, it's quite extraordinary how in alignment they can become with who they really are. And the majority of humans are terribly out of alignment with who they are.
Yeah, I'm certain that is true. There wouldn't be nearly as much fear and hate if they were more in alignment with their soul, which is joy and acceptance, right? Inner peace.
Yeah, well, most of the hate is mechanical. You know, once you get 3 people together, there's a mechanical frequency that takes over. And once you have 5 people, unless you're conscious of what's happening, depending on how you're designed, you'll either be the top dog in the group or you'll always be controlled. And you have to know these things, and most people don't. And it's happening unconsciously. You know, often we blame our family of origin, and depending on the mechanics. So let's say you have a family of 5 people. It's called the penta. You have 5 people in that family. And if they don't have certain aspects in their charts, that family will never get along. Or that family will never want to go out socially together. Or that family will always pick on one person in the family. And it's mechanical, because once the people go away from that, the dynamic stops. And then the minute they come back, it starts again. And people will say to themselves, I've done so much work. And even therapy will say, well, you still have more work to do. It's mechanical. Some families get along great. And the whole point of the penta, if you can believe it or not, is so the family thrives so it can make money, or, you know, make money to survive. That's its whole point. And it's the frequency of our environment, which is just mind-blowing to me. So there's, in human design, you begin to learn how much is actually unconscious and mechanical. And once you understand that about yourself, it's no fault living. There's no blame.
It just is what it is.
It just is. And then you have,
right.
And then you have choice to decide how you're going to interact with that information.
Yeah. Do people choose to, I mean, what happens when they choose to interact with the information in their most aligned way?
Well, their lives feel good. I mean, the whole point is to feel good. It really is to feel good. I don't care what anyone else says. It isn't to like get down on your knees and pay penance to some God in the sky, which, you know, doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. You know, it isn't about giving your power away. It isn't about anyone but you. Because if you're not fulfilled, like, what are you doing? You're you're zero contribution. That's my attitude. You are zero contribution if you're unhappy. You are zero contribution if your life is just this endless struggle or this endless crisis or this endless drama. And that all comes from lack of awareness.
I'm sure that people have experienced the one bad apple in the workplace that, you know, provides all that negativity and that Debbie Downer stuff going on. And it just brings everybody else down energetically and in the contribution that they're making, for sure.
And if you have a group of 5 people together and there's an older man and woman in that work group, they will automatically become the mother and the father in the dynamic. It's unavoidable. And it's totally mechanical. Even if the person isn't as experienced, or they're super annoying, or they give really bad advice, they'll still be put into that father knows best, mother knows best category. And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of that are wiring, or is that conditioning, or a combination?
It's wiring.
Wiring.
It's totally automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So say we are able to get our hands on our chart. I know there are ways to do that. And we're looking at it, and the Incarnation Cross is the key element that you mentioned that gives us an idea of what our purpose in this incarnation is about. What is, could you unpack that a little bit and
Sure.
let us know a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I would recommend to people, you just Google free human design chart and you can get your chart. You might want to get it while you're listening to this interview because you'll have a visual that will make a lot more sense. The position of the sun and the earth at the time of your birth tells us about your personality. And the position of the sun and earth and other astrological positions 88 days before you're born tells us about your body. The human design system is a binary, and the moment of your birth, the date, time, location, is your personality. It's who you think you are. And the 88 days before is your actual physical body that has its own mechanics. And it knows where the money is. It knows how to feed you. It knows how to attract the right opportunities. It's unconscious. What happens is, because of who we think we are, we allow our mind to control our decisions. And this is disastrous for all of us, to let the mind make decisions. We're actually designed to make decisions from something called our authority. And depending on your design, you'll have a particular kind of authority. There are a couple of types that don't even have an inner authority. They have to wait a certain time period to make a decision, or they need to talk things out with someone else to figure out what they're thinking and feeling to make a decision. But the majority of us make our decisions from our physical body, from our emotions, or from our instinct, or sound. And so in human design, you have your type, which is your aura essentially, and you've got your decision-making process. But with regards to the Incarnation Cross, it's the location of the sun and the earth, and it reveals your life's purpose. It is your reason for incarnating, hence the name, as I mentioned before. So if we just talk about the sun, people will understand this from astrology. So my sun is in Leo because I was born in August. Most people know their sign. And your sign is where your personality sun lands at the time of your birth. Now that sun is how people experience you. It is the energy of your life's work. And so if we just talk about my own chart, my sun is in gate 7. Now in human design, and hopefully people have their charts, there are 64 gates. And these gates represent the 64 hexagrams in the I Ching and the 64 codons of DNA that exist in nature. And each gate will be in a particular location in your chart. So the gate is a theme. It's a theme frequency. It indicates certain parts of the human experience. And then the location, meaning is it your moon or Jupiter or the sun? The location then influences how that gate shows up in your life. So to give you an example, your sun on the personality side of your chart is your brand. It is your life's work. It is why you are here, to contribute over the course of your lifetime. Mine happens to be in gate 7, which is democratic leadership. So I have the design of leadership, and my work is about teaching people how to lead, essentially how to lead themselves. And that's always what all my conversations come back to with people. Well, the reason you're not getting what you want is you're not taking responsibility. It's really very simple. If you take responsibility and you put some energy there, you'll start getting what you want. You can't just expect it, right? Some people just expect it, and some people work way too hard doing the wrong things. So knowing your brand is really important for your career. Now, not everyone's designed to be a leader. Not everyone is designed to be a business owner. We can tell that from your human design chart like that. So a lot of people are like, I'm going to be a solopreneur. And I look at their chart and I'm like, it's never going to work for them. Never. Never is a strong word, right? They say never say never and always. I'm like, well, the design is always right. And if you try to do things that aren't you, they will never, ever work. And I think it's so freeing to know this. Instead of fighting nature and fighting mechanics, get with the program. You're not going to lose yourself. You're going to find yourself.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you use the chart for your self-awareness, but then to step into that so you're not struggling, and you know where your path of ease and grace is, and where your sweet spot is, and where your strengths are.
That's right.
And how to play to them, or in a more powerful, empowering kind of way.
Yep.
I would think that knowing that would be incredibly empowering. And then if everybody knew everybody else's, you can know where they're coming from too.
Yeah, that's true. Although, a lot of people are very self-centered and they don't really pay attention to others. And this is a problem. Because when you learn about how others operate, you know how to interact with those people, which means you're going to get more of what you want. Part of this is just pure manipulative strategy. And I say that in the most loving, positive way. Everyone's a manipulator to one degree or another. And they're always manipulating their environment to get what they want. And when you understand the people you're interacting with, you know how to communicate with those people so as to get maximum output, maximum results, and everybody feels good about it. Right? So yeah, you're manipulating the situation versus passive aggressiveness, backstabbing, lying, cheating, the list goes on, the things that people do. You know, misrepresenting themselves, lying on their resume, whatever. And all of that's unnecessary when you're correct, because when you're correct, you'll be with the right people at the right time, in the right place, doing what you're supposed to do. And a lot of it is letting go of what society tells you it should look like.
I think that's a key point. So you're not living up to societal expectations or cultural expectations. You're living up to what is right for you based on how you're wired and how you're brought into this world to express yourself.
Absolutely.
That's so powerful, because so many people live in not feeling like they're living up to the expectations of their family or their parents or whatever, or their culture.
Yeah, they just need to give all that up.
Yeah.
Pointless.
Let it go.
I mean, who cares what your parents think? I mean, come on, really? I mean, what difference does it make? They can't live your life. Who cares what anyone thinks? All that matters is how you feel on the inside with your authority. I have people telling me all day, every day, how I can make things better in my life and how I should fix my business. And all that ever matters is if my body goes, or And if it's a yes, I listen to the person, I take it in. It's usually a great suggestion. It makes me more money. It helps my clients have better results. People are more cooperative. And if it's a has nothing to do with me. Doesn't matter what they're telling me. And so having that kind of awareness is huge, huge.
I can see how it would be super huge. But this connecting into the and the what is, explain that a little bit more. You mentioned the inner authority.
Right. So 70% of us have a defined sex chakra, you know, where your pelvic region is. In your chart, it'll be red. 70% of humanity. It means it's a defined sacral center or sex chakra. Now, I have emotional authority, which is about having a defined solar plexus in my chart, but I won't go off into that because I can still check in with my sacral as my first line of inquiry. And the sacral operates with sound. Is it a for yes or for no? Everyone sort of has their own version of that. Like some people go or you know, you have your own sounds. And then sometimes you get a like a maybe, right? And a maybe means wrong question, not yet, I don't have enough information, not now. And so you may have to ask more questions. You may just get So sometimes I've gotten that, and then a week later it's a or a week later it's a So you'll get a yes, a no, and a maybe, and or I don't know. And I don't know is a valid response when you're given something and you're intrigued by it, but you don't have enough information yet.
Yeah.
So a great question I learned from one of my teachers is, well, what would make it a hell yes? If you're given something and you're like, I kind of like it, then you can ask yourself, well, what would make it a hell yes? Like maybe it's a job offer. What would make that job a hell yes? And are you willing to write out in detail and share it with the person who wants to hire you what you want to make that job a And so they may come back to you and say, well, we can do this part, but not this part. And then you realize, well, I can't take the job then. Or they come back and they accept 75% of it and you check in, you get a and you take the job and it's great.
Yes, I think that that's a powerful approach and a realization too on any aspect of a big decision that has long-term implications for you. So if you are connected to what you're clear about your and or your hell yes is whenever given a circumstance, then you know walking in what your intentions are for it, and then they have to literally meet you where you are.
Well, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I teach power and leadership. So that's how I see the world. It's all about power dynamics. Now, not everyone sees the world that way, and your human design will show you. Some people see the world through the eyes of innocence. And boy, those people struggle. They keep thinking they should have an agenda, and everyone's asking them, what do you want? And it's like, doesn't matter. Those people are like the Buddha. I mean, do people ask the Dalai Lama, like, what do you want? What are your career goals? I mean, it's absurd, right? If you asked him that, like, so Dalai Lama, what are your goals for this year? You'd be like, what are you talking about, right? So because he is an energy, I haven't looked at his human design chart, but I would imagine there's a lot of high level mystic energy in there.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about the lines in the hexagram, but another aspect, I'll just throw it in here to just totally confuse people. So hopefully they go study more, is associated with every gate, you'll have a line. And the lines are only 1 through 6. And the reason is there's 64 hexagrams and there's 6 lines in every hexagram. So my sun is gate 7.5, line 5. Someone else might be 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.6. So I would imagine 6 is the top of is the roof, right? It's the top of the hexagram. I would imagine the Dalai Lama has a lot of 6 energy in his chart. That would be my guess. Anyone that has a lot of 6 lines in their chart is dealing with mysticism. They're dealing with the big picture. They're dealing with systems and philanthropy, right? So the difference would be if a charitable person walks down the street and sees a homeless person, that's a line 4 thing. They might say, do you want a sandwich? And the person says, yeah, I'd love a, tuna on rye. And so the person goes and gets a sandwich and brings it back. And the person says, thank you. And off they go. Now, a line 6 person like the Dalai Lama, he walks by and he sees the homeless person and nods at him, but doesn't give him anything. Then he goes back to his board of directors and says, okay, how do we fix the homeless problem in Seattle? How do we fix the homeless problem in the United States? How do we fix the homeless problem in the world? Now, he may never achieve it, but his mind is coming up with systems. And so we orient to life through these different perspectives. And so I see so much of life through leadership and power and how people shoot themselves in the foot and why people don't get what they want and how they throw off the power dynamics by playing the victim, right? Like I'm really attuned to that. But my friends that are major 6 lines, they don't even gossip. Like they don't get into any, like I'm prone, I will read the tabloids. I do enjoy them. People are always so amazed. They're like, why do you read that? I'm like, because it's a Bible on power dynamics. That's why I read them. But people that are 6 line, they just turn up their nose at me. You're going to read that? I'm like, oh, you must be a 6 line. And I look at their chart and sure enough, lots of 6 lines, and they are interested in the system of things. So if they're an artist, they're going to make a new color palette. They're going to create a totally new kind of hybrid art form, some new kind of collaging technique, or they're going to create a new kind of fabric. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of mind, like they're interested in the system. So when they speak to you, they speak like the Dalai Lama and you go, oh yeah, that's true, right? It just comes in. It's not political.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's way up here too. It's
way up here. It's abstract.
Personal, right? It's like
it's not personal.
Yeah.
But the first 3 lines, the lower lines in the hexagram, 1, 2, 3, they're all about the material world. Right? Line 1 is the foundation of the house, and line 2 is learning your skills, and then line 3 is strategy and making money, so you can function. But you start going 4, 5, 6, you're getting into higher levels of awareness and different frequencies of energy, basically. So it's quite fascinating. So when you look back at your Incarnation Cross, there will be 2 main numbers after the decimal point in the sun and the earth. And those 2 numbers create your profile, of which there are only 12. And the profile is your basic personality, kind of your operating system. And when you mix that with the Incarnation Cross, you really get a sense of purpose. So our profile tells us, what's that?
And the path that it expresses on, right? So the
exactly.
what, but also the expression of the what.
Like some people are personal profile, and so they're really here on earth to try and figure themselves out. I'm a transpersonal profile, and so I'm much more interested in you, which is why I do the work that I do, right? I have a couple more readings today, and I'm about to record some classes tonight for other people, and I want to teach people. I want to help them know who they are. I'm interested in your process. The majority of humans are interested in their own process and figuring it out. And that's natural. That's how it's designed.
I think that's amazing too, to have that level of self-awareness and to know how you, as you're uniquely, energetically wired, would then interact in the world, because then you can then identify, okay, what am I going to be successful at attempting, because I'm naturally wired to be able to do that, whether it's artistic or writing or expression. So literally delving into the different gates and the purpose, it tells you all of that about
That's
yourself.
right.
That is so powerful.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So, okay. So how can people, once they are aware of this, it's more than knowing, how do they put it to good use?
Well, I would recommend they find a good human design reader. I do some readings, but I would actually refer people to the gal on my team, Melissa, because she's a 6-2 profile. She's a 6 and a 2, and she's a genius. I really believe that she is a genius of insight. And she can look at someone's chart and hit you right between the eyes with truth. I don't know exactly how she does what she does, except it's her design. But that's where I recommend people start. Talk to Melissa. Then if they want to go from there, you know, we have classes and all that kind of thing. But I think the very best place to start is start with a reading. And the reading will help you get the big picture of your life. And then you can figure out where your blind spots are and start working on those.
So I think the blind spots are where we focus in on breaking through the glass ceiling in the summit.
Yep.
It's more than knowing the nature and the essence of who you are, but it's also recognizing that there are blind spots and there are things that hold us back. So does the chart help you with understanding what those might be?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, in your Incarnation Cross, your personality earth, which is a circle with a cross through it, that's what represents the earth, is your life lesson. Richard Rudd, who's an incredible human design teacher, and I highly recommend to people to read his book, Gene Keys. And the reason I recommend it so strongly is that he was a protege of Ra Uru Hu, who downloaded human design in 1987. And Richard Rudd studied with Ra for about 7 years. And then continued on to study. And it took him 7 years, another 7 years, to write the Gene Keys. It was a 7-year project. It's a very interesting story. He'd come into a lot of money, and he knew that he was to use that money to help humanity, which he has done and is doing. Ra unfortunately died. Oh, how I wish I could have studied with him. I wish I had been more. People were trying to introduce me to human design before Ra died, and I was like, man, like I wasn't listening. But Richard Rudd, blessedly, is still with us. And Richard wrote the Gene Keys, and the Gene Keys activate your DNA. The way it is written is mind-blowing. And that's another good place people could start, just to start to get a sense of these energies that are available in them. Because so many people, I look at their chart, and the way that they're living, it has no bearing on their chart.
Yeah, it's out of alignment. And so they're experiencing things that they don't realize.
That's right.
They have a choice that they can shift.
That's right. That's right.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. So you apply this for people, but you're more of a focused on entrepreneurs and leaders in leadership roles. So
yeah, I really want them to understand their purpose. And I know you're going to give out links. I do have a free Facebook group, and if people want to come join that, I can give you the link later. Just let me know if I can share it. And that's where we do free training, so people can kind of get a taste. And that group went from 220 people in November to almost 1,900 people this month. And it's all word of mouth. It's all word of mouth. And so that's a great place for anyone who's like, I don't know about this thing. And then they can kind of dip their toe in. But primarily, this is who we work with. We work with teachers, psychologists, engineers, mostly women. They're all women. The coaches, authors, speakers, professional artists, and then interior designers and plastic surgeons. That's mostly who we attract. And the reason is these women are lifelong learners. Because if you're going to dive into something like human design and get the benefit, you got to give some time to it. I mean, it takes 7 years. 7 to decondition. Did I do 7 to 7? 7. I can't get 7.
That was 7.
7. I'm like, because this is reversing my hands. The screen is reversing my hands. Yeah, 7 years to shed the conditioning that comes into you when you're very, very small, and then you just keep getting hammered with the conditioning. So these women understand that they need to know their soul design so that they can bring their greatest work to the world, so they can bring their gifts to the world. And yes, make money. It's interesting though. Most of us don't need to make gobs of money. I hate to break it to people. I mean, unless it's in your design. I mean, some people it's in their design, but I was just in a money class the past couple of days, and I didn't roll my eyes, but part of it was the majority of people attending that class aren't going to achieve the results of the instructors because the results of the instructors match with their design.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, oh, prepare for your future, invest in real estate, or prepare for your future and invest in Bitcoin. And I'm like, why? The thing is, if you're correct, money will come to you anyway. People understand, like the right money will come, the right job will come. Nobody needs $1 million a month. Nobody really needs $1 million a year, frankly. People just need the right amount of support.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even in this crisis, look at what's happening. The majority of people who live in an advanced nation are being supported in amazing and unexpected ways. They're giving out money. They're giving out loans like I've never seen to businesses. It was so hard to get a loan before. Now they're like, oh, we'll give you a loan. Low interest too. They're giving people more credit. They're giving people unemployment benefits. You know, some countries like Germany, they're so advanced. They made sure that everybody was taken care of for this unforeseen thing, which is smart. It's smart when a country works as a family, collaboratively. So when you're correct, you'll be supported, and you've got to make decisions to keep yourself in the flow of correct, because otherwise you could end up in one of those protest zones and, you know, get hit with a rubber bullet or get pepper sprayed, or, you know, you got to be, and if you're into that sort of thing, okay, but you got to be in the right place at the right time.
Right.
So
Right.
unless you're really a good protester and it's really your jam, you got to check in with your body. Like, it's not correct for me to go do those things. It like will have no bearing on my impact in the world. It is so much better for me to teach people at a fundamental and deep level about who they are than it is for me to protest. I see no value in that. My body goes, it's pointless. But for some people, we need them protesting. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there are people who are like leading the charge and standing up to these systems that are corrupt. And I applaud them because it's correct for them.
Yes.
I just want to convey to people, don't feel guilty if you're not on Facebook, you know, siding with the latest hot political topic, and then people are coming after you. Well, your silence just means you're complicit or what? No, it doesn't. Your silence may be protecting you. And not protecting you like in a way you're cowering in the corner, but protecting you so you stay on the correct path. And there are other people where it is correct for them to go out there all guns blazing and say something that's heresy and stir the pot and create this explosion of energy. And it's totally correct for their design. And it moves their life forward in a beautiful way. So that's what I really want to support people in, is making decisions that are correct for you. And all that matters is it's correct for you. That's it. And if it's correct for you, it'll be correct for everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's very powerful too, because that acknowledges that you're one part of a larger whole. And if your one part is in alignment and expressing its full expression, then that beauty and that rightness is going to be radiated out into the world and make a better world from having done so, right? That's so amazing. I'm getting chills.
I am too. The
That
hair
is
is
so,
standing up on my arms, if people could see. So the down hair is
yes.
sticking up.
Yes, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that there's actually tools available to discover what this is, and that they are not only available, but also can help you to guide you on your path and making the right decisions for you in alignment with your path and purpose, that's just, I'm speechless. It's so empowering. And then to use them as a tool to elevate your life in all the right ways.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing. So you have a, shifting gears to your free gift. Your free gift, I think, is going to help us to connect in on that purpose and apply it to business.
Yeah, it's called Business by Design, and I share a 3-step process that explains how we use your human design to help you in your business.
Cool. We have a little bit of time. You want to explore a little bit with us on how your human design is applied in a business context?
Yeah, well, there's many different aspects of the human design chart that reveal this. A big part of it is who's a leader and who's a manager, for starters. And you know, if you're a management person, if you're a person who's here to be managed, you're not ever going to be the leader. So you don't even need to try. It'll never work. And if you're designed to be a leader and you're not leading, it's never going to work. So that's just one example of where it's so vital. And then some people have certain prosperity gates in their design and other people don't. So the people that don't need to get with the people that do on a regular basis if they're ever going to really be prosperous. Because there's some people who just can't do it by themselves.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of prosperity stuff in my design.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have always had this knowing energetically, like, oh, I'll always make money. I'll always make it, attract it, find it. Not a big deal. Well, it's because it's in my DNA.
Yeah. I think that's a key point. If you recognize that there are markers that show that there are places where you need help, and if you're not seeking that help, then you're going to be striving, and you're not going to be getting the success or the prosperity that you're looking for.
That's right.
What a hugely powerful tool.
Yep.
That's awesome. It sounds amazing. Thank you. I know our audience will want to go check that out right away. And for our audience, I have provided the link in the Summit Speaker Replay page and on your Summit announcement email letter. So you'll definitely have access to that. And Beth, it's been an amazing and enlightening discussion. Thank you so much for walking us through these powerful tools.
Thank you so much. And like I said, I'd encourage people to join the Facebook group, and I'll make sure you have the link to give them for that too.
Great, thank you. We'll definitely publish the links to Beth's Facebook group and also provide the free gift link and also how else they can contact you. So for our community, be sure to go look for our next interviews in your inbox. You have access for a full 7 days after each interview is released, so be sure to visit the replay page. The link can be found in your daily Summit interview announcement email, and we'll see you again soon in our next episode. Until then, shine your light into the world powerfully and in your highest expression. Bye for now. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.